Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. We have a story here about Shona Robison and her budget. Well, it's a budget story. Because there is a committee within Holyrood that looked at the budget and has gone through it and sort of decided on what it thinks. And it says it's rubbish. It's absolutely appalling. It doesn't have the detail it needs. It doesn't have any backup to figures. It's almost as though it's being thrown together by a woman with an IQ of 86 and makes no sense whatsoever. So we're going to take a look at this report because what is absolutely startling is that this committee that is, destroying this budget is actually led by an SNP MSP. He is destroying and scathing of his own party's budget, which goes to show how bad it absolutely must be. Stunning, eh? But then what do you expect? It's done by Shona Robison. It was never going to be good, was it? Let's take a look. Right, before we get into it, a little bit of housekeeping. First of all, I'd like to thank Dave Durave. You know who you are. Thank you very much for that. Super thanks. It's always nice to receive them, especially this time of year, because it is, in terms of advertising rates and things, the worst time of the year. So you're very, very grateful for that. Also, do please hit the subscribe button because yet again, there's these random unsubscribed from YouTube and it's really annoying. You go in, you lose a few, you look, and they're not coming off any particular video, which means it isn't the videos that's upsetting people. It tends to be this unsubscribe, and people are saying, "No, I didn't unsubscribe, and yet I'm unsubscribed," and this is what happens. So do please check you are still subscribed. And if you are yet to subscribe, please do so, of course. Let's grow the channel. Let's get the news out there wider and highlight the stupidity, ignorance, and sometimes evilness of these people that so wish desperately to rule over and destroy everything. A terrible, terrible bunch. Anyway, we'll get into it. Do you know, it's just occurred to me, it's the 1st of February, isn't it? It's Bridie's Day, St. Bridget. And I've got to tell you that. Sorry, this is a terrible. I haven't even started and I'm tangenting off a tangent. But Bridie's Day, she was made a saint because of her miracle. Gentlemen, if you meet a woman like this, you marry her, because Bridie's miracle was that the bishop was coming to her abbey, and she didn't have any beer to offer him. And so she thought, oh no, what am I going to do? And she panicked. Anyway, she said, I'll go and have a bath and I'll think about what I can offer the bishop. And as she was lying in the bath water turned to beer. God bless St. Bridget. Anyway, back into this. Humza Yousaf's budget condemned in a scathing finance report amid missing details and a refusal to publish key information. How can you refuse to publish this? It's your budget. You're basing it on information that you've got, and yet you are not providing that information. And when people ask for it, you're saying, no, you must not look at that information. They're raising taxes and cutting services, and they're not even prepared to tell you why. Why are they shady? Why are they so secretive? The Scottish Government approach to the budget was slated in a damning Holyrood report, which detailed their refusal to publish supporting bud documents, and for Shona Robison failing to answer questions about it properly. Now, that one I can understand. She probably didn't understand the question. There's not a lot going on in there in Shona, and so she probably didn't understand what was being said, or wouldn't even have known the answer. Humza Yousaf's first budget has been torn apart in a damning report from a Holyrood committee, who blasted his secretive government for its refusal to publish key information and for missing out a number of details in the spending plans. Well, when you have a woman whose limited IQ is a very deciding factor in everything she does, it's not surprising that things are missing, things are wrong, things are ill-described, details are missed, numbers don't add up, and that it makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. You don't give a chimpanzee control of the finances of the party, and yet that's more or less what they've done. And indeed, some chimps will probably have a higher IQ than Shona Robison. Shona Robison presented the budget in December, and it was already labelled a tax and axe budget, with huge tax hikes for significant numbers of Scots and funding for various sectors slashed, Indeed, every sector had a real terms cut except independence, which is weird, isn't it? When you think how little independence truly matters to most people. Anyway, this was including ScotRail and bigly, the housing budget. That was 200 million cut at a time when housing in Scotland is at an emergency level of crisis. No business rates relief were offered, despite that money coming from the UK government in Westminster to provide from it. And that was put into the Barnett consequentials, and yet they didn't hand that over. Businesses are struggling. Everyone is struggling. The only people not struggling, of course, are those rather overpaid, underworked, nice people who work in the foreign embassies, friends of senior officials, friends of MSPs, you know, family members, that sort of thing. Those who are in the know, as it were. They get these nice little stipends. They go off and live in foreign climes and pretend that they're important. But for everyone else, of course, it's a hard struggle. The Finance Committee also hit out at the claims that the government was spending on its 3 missions, as it remains to be convinced that this is actually the case. Mr. Yousaf boasted that his main aim was to reduce child poverty. Seems fair, considering it was his party that's made most of it happen. But cut the housing budget and refused to uprate the Scottish child payment higher than the inflation rate. So not actually increasing money to children, so therefore not helping child poverty, and actually making life worse by cutting the housing budget, thus putting even more people into poverty. So, yeah, great start, isn't it? Equality, opportunity and community is the 3 missions put forward by the SNP executive. But the committee writes, some individual decisions appear to conflict with the priorities of tackling poverty, growing the economy and prioritising public services. This lot couldn't grow an economy. This lot couldn't grow fungus. They are awful. They have no concept of an economy because none of them are capitalistically minded. They're all left-wing socialists being dragged along by the Greens, who are Marxist. They don't like public ownership. They don't like wealth creation. They're doing their very damnedest to slow growth and to make people poorer. And yet you lift your tax base by growing the economy. They don't understand that because they are effectively Marxist based now and stupid. MSPs also hit out the fact that the government refused to publish a number of supporting documents, including its multi-year spending plan. Why would you not publish your multi-year spending plan unless you are deeply, deeply scared by the numbers or ashamed of the numbers? One of the two, isn't it? You're either scared or ashamed. Otherwise you'd be publishing and go, this is our plans. Look how marvellous we are. Blah, 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 blah. But no, they're not doing that. They're going, oh, no, you can't see this. Oh, Jesus, nobody must ever see this. This is awful. It's Stalinist, isn't it? It's bloody Stalinist. At least Stalin published his 5-year plans. This lot won't. God, you're in a position where Stalin was more open with the people than the SNP. Anyway, the public sector pay policy 24-25 was also hidden. An updated infrastructure project pipeline was also hidden. And a financial strategy for the public service reform. All of these have been delayed and hidden, and nobody's allowed to know. The pay policy is usually published alongside the budget, but it was missing this year because, hey, they know if we published it, there'd be strikes. The report added, the impression given is that the Scottish Government is procrastinating on important decision-making that would help support medium and longer-term sustainability of Scotland's public finances. An example of completely missing information was cited by the committee. It wrote, without a coherent reform programme in place, we are concerned that financial pressures will drive a series of uncoordinated cuts across the board rather than genuine reform aimed at enhancing the delivery of public services. And indeed, we note that one portfolio in the Scottish budget refers to a 5% efficiency saving, and that has been taken across all bodies as part of public service reform. This is not referred to more widely in the Scottish budget or in the reform update that we received on the same day. We therefore seek clarity on this matter, along with details of how this approach aligns with Scottish Government's aims of prioritising public services. So they've asked for it, they've wanted it, they've said, look, this is there, you've got this 5% in one area and you're just assigning it across everything, but without any backup or saying how it's going to be achieved. Let me see the papers, let me see how you're achieving this, let me see why you've come to that decision and how these numbers were arranged out. And then they haven't handed them over. They're not giving them this information because they know that it's complete and utter bollocks, to put it bluntly. Anyway, they also hit out at tax rises in the budget, with those earning over $75,000 being forced into a higher tax band, with no proper analysis done on the impact that this may have. And with the SNP MSPs warning about uncertainty about the behavioural impact, meaning people will just do everything they can to avoid it, which they will. We know this. If you can get an easy way of just sort of going, well, I don't have to pay that, I can do this, this and this, you'll do it and save yourself thousands of pounds a year. Scottish Labour Finance Secretary Michael Marrott described the report as damning and said that it exposes the SNP government's woeful approach to budgeting. So the SNP government has presented a budget littered with errors, inconsistencies and missing key data, with the Deputy First Minister unable to answer key questions in her appearance at the committee. This is not a serious government. Scotland deserves far better. Liz Smith, Tory finance spokeswoman, said, "This is a hard-hitting report which expresses the committee's unanimous concerns that the budget decisions taken by the SNP Green government are at odds with the needs to create economic growth." Well, what do you expect? Absolutely, what do you expect? Now look, he's looking at her and thinking, "Oh God, I've made her the finance secretary, and she's more stupid than I am." And to be honest, that takes some doing, but she has done that. And that's not a man who's got confidence, is it? It's not a man who's really confident in the powers of Shona Robison. And look, here they come, walking down. And she's going, "I'm going off to play school now. I'm going to go and play with my friends. Yeah, I hope we have plasticine today." And he's sitting there looking at her going, "Oh God, look at her face. It's the face of disgust, isn't it?" He's like, "What on earth?" It's like he's stepped in something. And he's looking at her like, ugh. He's realised what he's done and he can't fire her because that would mean he made a mistake. And we know Hamza never makes mistakes. Coming up. They truly are a bunch of incompetent retards, aren't they? They're not publishing information that needs to be published because they're scared that people see it and that they'll react to it by going, "What the hell?" You know? "What? You're doing this? You're doing, what is this?" You know? Or that people will go, "Right, we're out on strike." That's more likely. They're hiding this information. They're keeping it from you. You have a right to it. And their spending plans don't add up. Where are you getting this from? How are you saving this? "Oh, we can't tell you that. It's a secret." This is the committee into looking at the budget. And the actual committee are not allowed to look at all the information. How bad is it when they're not even letting the committee look at it? Never mind us. It is terrible, isn't it? That goes to show that these people really need to be removed from power. They are quite incapable of wielding it. Destruction and mayhem and chaos. That's all they have. Anyway, I shall stop there. Thank you very much for watching to the end if you have. Well done. You must be a masochist. However, do please hit the subscribe button. Very important if you haven't yet. And do press the like button as well. I will speak to you later.